Hello, everyone. I'm going to jump right in since we only have 30 minutes. I'm Sierra Ducey. I'm the content marketing manager here at Digilant. I hope you're all having a great day. I hope you all have found something delicious to order for lunch. And I'm so excited to welcome you to the first of what we hope to be many 30-30-30 webinars. And I'm especially excited that our friends at Peer39 have been gracious enough to join us for our first session. Thank you so much. And that leads me into introducing our amazing panelists who are going to chat through all things brand safety today. So first up, we have our very own Kyle Malone, who's the VP of Partnerships here at Digilant, and he's going to be chatting with Gigi Cadet, who is the Senior Director of Strategic Partnerships at Peer39. Before I hand it over to them, I have one more person to introduce who's working behind the scenes here with me, and that's Katie Gargano, who is our Senior Product Marketing Manager at Digilant. And when we were shaping the content for today, we utilized all the amazing questions that we received when you all registered, but if anything pops up as Kyle and Gigi are chatting, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom, and Katie is on hand to either answer those or direct them to Kyle and or Gigi. We have a few minutes allocated at the end to hopefully get to any of those questions, and if for some reason we're running short on time, we will be sure to follow up with you via email. So thank you all for attending. Super excited to jump in. And with that, Kyle, take it away.
Yeah, thanks. Happy to kick this off. And Gigi, thanks again for joining us.
Yes.
And really appreciate the partnership and everything that we've built along the last, like, what, 6 or so years now.
About
So
that.
let's dive right in. So we know that brand safety has moved well beyond keyword block lists. How has the conversation evolved, and what does a modern suitability strategy actually look like in practice these days?
Yeah. So, we've been doing a lot of work helping shift partners from keyword blocking lists. The problem with them, as I'm sure you know, Kyle, is that they're inherently broad. A keyword, a topic, or a phrase will take out large chunks of inventory. That chunk of inventory can actually parts of that inventory can actually be valuable to a partner. So you're looking at reductions in scale, limited performance, and overall limiting access to high quality inventory, right? And so the conversation has really shifted from brand safety to brand suitability. Whereas brand safety is just the universal blocking of harmful content, and brand suitability is actually taking the time to decide whether each component or piece of content fits into a brand's values, their risk tolerance, and their objectives, KPIs, etc. Right? And that tends to really shift from brand to brand because what is suitable for one brand may not be suitable for another. And that could fall for multiple brands under an agency, right? So we've been doing that work to help flesh that out. And what we've seen historically is like there's been this pack mentality, right? Of where everyone wants to block the same content because that's what they think is expected of them, and that can get you into trouble. I think one easy example of that is COVID. What started off as just a keyword, a block list that would help you stay away from harmful health content evolved over time to where you were staying away from sports content and entertainment content, or even positive mental health content, or things that were meant to be uplifting, right? And so another example, as we go into the political season here, is blocking Trump. All politics aside, I have folks that we partnered with that have had that keyword on their block list for 10 years, right? You have the 2016 elections, then you go to 2020 to 2024, and now headed into the midterms in 2026. That really has evolved in terms of how that would affect a campaign. And so I think it's less about broad approaches and more about making calculated decisions along the way. And that starts off with you get a better understanding of, again, what the KPIs are, what the values are, and doing a diagnostic on what's important to the brand.
Yeah, I think we see that time and time again, like where, clients, brands, things of that, they come in with a very restrictive list, very predetermined items that they want to kind of reserve out, whether it's a block list on sites, on keywords, or anything. And it can block out entire categories, and you can really hamper the inventory that you're actually accessing, even if it might be potentially valuable for brands that you're working with. And I think it really, means that we need to be a little bit more prescriptive, using a scalpel when we're looking at things, and being open to trusting the partners that we're working with, that when we're tapping into their inventory and their targeting, that it's trusted and it's verified. So the next question falls perfectly into that. How can advertisers actually avoid being so restrictive that they end up hurting their campaigns? And how do you guys help brands find that balance across all channels?
Yeah, so over blocking, it's really quiet, but it has a very, very impactful cost. The thing is, it's tough to calculate at that point, right? It's, unless you're, a publisher who's who's getting completely blocked by this situation. But in that sense, it's very easy to put a number on it. But I think you have to have the tools that allows you to make a quantifiable or a decision, right, with those insights, right? So it's like how you have to ask yourself really is like how is each contextual category, how is each brand safety bucket, different environment or page type, how is each keyword affecting this campaign? And that really means that you have to ask yourself, am I protecting myself or am I just unnecessarily restricting myself from, this high performing inventory? And that means you have to have the tools to do that. And so what we've done is we've built out our analytics suite that across web, across OLV and CTV allows you to get into that nitty gritty of it, right? That the granular details and use that scalpel, as you said, right? So you're going to be able to see, and we provide partners with free access to this, how each contextual category is performing for you, brand safety bucket, and even keyword from a viewability, attention, interactive measurements as well, click-through rate, etc. And so with that knowledge, you're actually able to make a informed decision about what that brand suitability profile looks like so you understand that I'm not just over blocking, right? This is with intent.
And I know that the custom analytic solutions that you guys have on your end are just they've been incredibly helpful as, the ecosystems evolve, the transparency has gotten better. I mean, I remember that being the first, one of the biggest first instances of use was getting show level transparency. It was one of the most widely demanded pieces of information, and still fairly is, within the CTV ecosystem. And working through you guys, it was one of the only ways to actually get some of that information front to help clients understand where were we actually delivering ads? Was it suitable for where we wanted to be? And it's only evolved from there. I mean, it's been really incredible to see that evolve. Um, and on that, transparency has become a major, talking point in programmatic, especially over the last 4 or 5 years. It continues to kind of come back pretty heavily. But it means different things to different buyers. Beyond standard metrics, what does meaningful transparency actually look like? And how can we measure it? And especially being able to look at the impact of contextual targeting.
I think transparency is really about granularity, right? Being able to go a mile deep, essentially. And that means different things in different ecosystems, right? And so what you want to do is you want to take a look at how am I operating on the web versus how am I operating on CTV. I think in web, that really means the difference between domain or section level classifications to where, where we operate is providing full page level classifications. And that's going to give you the ability to get a better understanding of the types of inventory that you're looking at and how you're putting a value on your campaign performance. One instance where we really want people to take a look at is MFA, right? And with the rise of AI slop, I think we've seen this bucket of quality drop off, right? In a way, where if you're not operating at a granular level, if you're not operating at a page level, you're going to miss out on a lot of things. You're going to allow some inventory to pass through because that domain or section level might be clear, whereas the actual page is not. And then to your point on the CTV front, right? You want to get as granular as possible, and that is show level transparency. That is being able to get a better understanding, not just of what app or streaming service or bundle ID only that I'm running on, but actually the channels, the genres, the ratings, and even as we working to evolve this conversion by show, potentially something that secret project we're working on, and so that's the sort of value, and that's what transparency actually means. And you have to align yourself with partners who are going to work and give you that transparency. And we have been fortunate to find a number of publishing partners who see the value in that, want to provide our shared partners that level of transparency. And so that's what we've been working towards.
Yeah, I think when you unlock the transparency piece within the ecosystem, from really understanding where your ad, your creative is actually being delivered and what the content around it looks like, not only do you get a better scope of what might I need to remove, how can I adjust my current campaign structure to enhance performance, but also it allows you to really dive into what does my audience actually look like. It might help actually reframe some inherent thoughts that you might have of, oh, my users only watch this particular show or this particular publisher. And it really might allow you to actually understand, oh, my users or my customers actually really do like to watch this particular show. And it
Yeah,
might help frame that to better perform in the future.
it's an onboarding process too, right? And so what we've done is we've helped partners understand that exact thing of, hey, I wouldn't have known that this potential category was working. And so now I'm able to divert funds that were going to, I don't know, if let's just say some categories that were going to sports. Now they're going to actually go into documentaries or reality TV, right? Because now I've seen where it's actually landed, and I've had the data to back that. For Web and OLV, we've done the same thing of like you want to use third-party audiences to get a better understanding of what kind of contextual categories will work for me. So you run a campaign using those audiences and you see where it maps out contextually, and then from there you're able to actually highlight the contextual categories. Then eventually, those audiences, you can move to a more economic or cost-efficient targeting approach after you've kind of seen where those audiences have mapped out contextually, right? And you're able to then optimize from there. And so, yeah, it's both from a safety perspective, but also from a first party or second party data mapping avenue. It's really, really helpful.
Yeah, it's always going to be incredibly difficult to make decisions without the foundational data to actually go and activate that. And with that, you guys had a pretty, big announcement recently on the acquisition of Adloox. Can you talk about why that's a significant step for advertisers?
Yeah, I mean, really, really excited about this one. I mean, not only does it give us some access to some really, really important platforms, DV360, Meta, but it's going to really allow us to make a course correction on how legacy verification has been modeled and provide a more beneficial model for the industry, for you guys, for everyone, right? I think the current model really it has you paying twice, right? It has you paying for the pre-bid controls, and then it has you paying for the factor, the post-bid of whether that those pre-bid controls actually work, right? So you're paying for this, this receipt line. basically, right? And from my understanding, receipts should be free, right? And instead, you're adding 25-30% of your safety or verification costs on there by having to pay for both pre-bid and post-bid. And so, what we want to do is remedy that. And so those are conversations that we're really excited to start having once we finish this onboarding of Adloox.
Yeah, I know. There's a fun phrase we use to kind of talk through the finding all of the fees when you're getting it coming and going, and that we I think we called it the DoorDashification of everything. You look at it and all of a sudden your receipts is as long as you could ever imagine, and you're not quite clear on where everything was and why you were paying for it.
Yeah.
That'll definitely be a huge benefit to a lot of us out there.
But that's also money you're going to be able to put back into it compounds, right? Really, right? So not only are you losing out on it, but you're not able to put it back into working media in areas where you're going to be able to thrive and improve performance. So you're saving the initial cost, but then you're actually going to be able to get the insights that are going to allow you to improve the overall performance, which is just going to continuously help improve things. And so we're really, really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that kind of comes through. Um, with it being a midterm season, I feel like we'd absolutely have to talk through some political pieces. Um, we know that misinformation and divisive content are definitely an adjacency risk in political media buying. What controls do you guys give campaigns to manage that, especially as the environment shifts week to week during a cycle for political and non-political? Like this is an incredibly, important item to look at.
Yeah. So I think first you want to get a better understanding of the landscape, right? And so we have like socially debated issues broken out, right? Because what you don't want is, again, knocking out whole chunks of inventory. So if you're going to do, I think, again, everyone should do a political, diagnostic kind of, if you will, of getting a better understanding of which specific political category means what to you, right? So immigration, wars, women's rights, right? It's very, very nuanced in that. And so and you can have multiple stances across the board. So getting an understanding of that is really important. And so we have 10, 15 different categories under political, and then you top that off with news and whether it's opinionated or not, right? So you can stay around the facts. And then, of course, while you want to move away from certain things like keywords or URL lists, there's left leaning and right leaning and, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Over sensualized, if you will, right? Like, things are over the top, and you're able to then take that in and rope it together into one specific political kind of suitability framework. We do have a specific solution that we provide clients, which is our recent events suitability bundle that allows you to kind of have a hands-off approach until we provide you with recommendations. So how it works is if there is a global or national event that takes place, we send out an automated email that says, hey, you're a part of this preferred offering, and so this event has happened. We are going to add it to this bundle for this period of time. Do you want in or do you want out? Or do you want us to include it or not? And then from there, there's multiple advantages. You don't have to worry about missing out on something. It's kind of handled. A lot of, you know, legacy keyword blocking lists or bundles go kind of unmanaged throughout the year and are only revisited, if revisited at all, yearly. This also leverages our semantic technology and forecasting technology. So we're able to actually fine tune it, or our webology team does, so they understand how much inventory for that time being is going to be impacted. Um, and then, yeah, you can leverage it year round, right? So it's customizable. So you can build into this bundle your IAB, you're going risk tolerances, we have a dynamic MFA solution. And then from there, that starts off as a basis. And then as the season comes and as those conversations change, you're able to tweak it throughout.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot to unpack for a lot of people. And B, I think uh, it's something that we often take it maybe a little bit for advantage. I feel like on our end is the fact that the campaigns we're running internally, they're all obviously using these parameters that are automatically updated, and I think almost as fast as it can humanly even be presented in the news or in an article or somewhere along the way. I feel like I've gotten an email in my inbox and it's like, hey, your category has been updated and it now contains all of these particular items. And let us know if you have any additional parameters. So before I even have the ability to even reach out about wanting to update a segment, it's already been done for us, which really helps to add, some ease to our minds, at least at the end of the day when we're running campaigns that they're really well aligned. We don't have to worry that they're running where they shouldn't be. Ads are where they need to be. We're gonna go into a little piece on CTV, just because I know you guys are working on a lot of
Yeah,
things.
I still have to
Oh,
I think you're for the non-political, right? Advertisers. I think that's important as well, right? Because the socially, from the protection part, it's great, but I think there's also an avenue where you want to be a non-political advertiser that leans into what's kind of taking place as well. And that's not to say that you necessarily need to have a stance on every single socially debated issue, but if there is one that you feel like you might be able to lean in on, then that would be great. The example I wanted to give you was we had a partner who uh, really wanted to lean into women's rights. They had a fantastic, maternity leave policy, and they used that to kind of form creative around it and actually target content that was surrounding women's rights, right? And so I feel, and they saw amazing performance from that campaign, right? And so there's ways that you can lean in, and there's ways that you can protect yourself, and I think it's both again about doing that diagnostic and taking a look at what might resonate for the brand at the time.
yeah. I mean, that definitely makes a ton of sense that, for non-political advertisers, they definitely need to take that into context as well, for lack of better words. Um, Knowing that you guys are working on some really fun things within the CTV landscape, I absolutely have to ask, what excites you most about where Contextual is moving within CTV and where you guys are headed next for that?
Um, I think that, well, one, again, the reporting that we're able to provide is growing dramatically. I think the amount of, well, first off, you have this, the programmatic guarantee landscape, the upfront landscape of like the really top big streamers of the two or three of them, right? But then there's so much of CTV that is exploding from this PG deal to this biddable and programmatic evolution of CTV. And for that space wants to operate in a way that traditional programmatic and web kind of works, right? And so for that, you need the pre-bid capabilities to target granularly, and you need the reporting to be able to optimize, right? There's like performance CTV arena, and the work that we're doing alongside publishers to be able to provide those pre-bid capabilities to again target at the program or the content level and report back on it is really exciting.
Yeah, I know that there's your perspectives on this have been so different from what I feel like was usually, the status quo of running a standard PMP deal or a PG if you need to just to lock that inventory in, taking at it from a different lens and being able to say, well, I can still hit those same publishers running just through the inventory sources because those content IDs are actually being surfaced properly and being made targetable where they historically haven't been, has been, I mean, a really fun item for us to test and see, can we deliver the same quality, the same targeting that we would have from a PMP or a curated inventory deal within a context form? And largely, in fact, we're finding that we can, and it's been working out very, very well.
Yeah, no,
Um,
and I mean, we're really excited to see that as well. I think you have it's taking it's putting like partnerships up to the test of like I think there was we have a partnership with with so and so and but no this work especially on the CTV front it does take um the right partner from the advertiser and agency perspective to publishers wanting to help provide you guys with those tools and we're seeing all those pieces kind of come together right now. You need your SSPs on board, you need your DSP partners on board too, and so it's a collective effort, and just really happy that we're at the tip of it.
yeah, I'd say the reporting has been super valuable from our end to really be able to understand the full, you know, context of where we're running within the CTV landscape.
Sorry not to interrupt you guys, but thank you so much for all that amazing content. And we had a few questions come in on the live chat just as we have the last few minutes here. Katie's gonna run through at least one of the questions if we have time for.
Yes, we got tons of great questions, so thank you for everyone who submitted. One question was if you could give one piece of advice to a brand that's just starting to think about brand suitability, what would that be?
I think, I mean, right now is like a really great time to I think I've said diagnostic like 5 times today, but I think it's a really good time to reevaluate, where you stand across the board on the different GARM risks categories, IAB, and then again the socially debated topics for political, especially if that's something that you want to do right now. I think we're in a political year. There's a major shifts in the industry, um, generational shifts in the space of technology and rights just forming. And so you want to kind of get a baseline for where you stand on those and then kind of work from there. But then it also, you need to take a look at what the objectives of your campaign are going to be for the next year and calculate from there. And then keep refining it, keep fine tuning it, get the data that you need to be able to work on it till you get it right.
Amazing. And with 1 minute to spare, we'll leave it at that. Kyle and Gigi, thank you so, so much. So many amazing insights and valuable information. Thank you everyone for attending as well. We will follow up tomorrow with the recording if you want to listen back to any of this awesome information. And then we also have a fun little quiz that we're going to send you as a leave behind that lets you kind of figure out where you are in your brand safety strategy and then some like tips from Peer39 on how you can improve based off of where you are now. So keep an eye out in your inbox for that. And it will also include a survey that we would so appreciate if you could fill out. It's 5 questions, super quick. And it also allows you to opt in to be the first to hear about our next 30-30-30 webinar. So thank you all again so much. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you on the next one.